by their find out what magic show in this very so all I want to bring with you. Please come to the Las Vegas style. Does a little night. Volunteers. They worked very hard yesterday. I want to thank you all. Would all the members please stand? Stay standing, stay standing, stay standing just a minute. If you've been a member for 5 years or less, sit down. 10 years or less, sit down. 15 years or less, sit down. Everybody here has been, well, let's see, anybody over 20 years, everybody below, sit down, over 20, stay standing. Okay, these are our grandparents. I want to thank you all for being members and for coming to the conference. And now we're going to hear from esteemed President Stuart Sutton.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, we made it. Another year. I want to thank Alan for you guys out of here. She's kind of the glue that everything sticks to. Association, and she does it very, very graciously, very well. So many things to prepare. So many potential things to worry about. You know, I thought a lot about that, but there's really only two things in life to worry about, right? Whether you're going to be healthy or whether you're going to be sick. If you're going to be healthy, you got nothing to worry about. Or if you're going to be sick, you got two things to worry about. Am I going to get better or am I going to get worse? If you're going to get better, you got nothing to worry about. But if you're going to get worse, you got two things to worry about. Are you going to live or are you going to die? If you're going to live, you got nothing to worry about. But if you're going to die, you have two things to worry about. Am I going to go to heaven or am I going to go to hell? If you're going to go to heaven, you got nothing to worry about. If you're going to go to hell, you got two things to worry about. Original or extra crispy? Yeah, I know. My board, we didn't have the budget for a comedian tonight at the magic show, so I'll be opening for the magician tonight. If you ask any of the board what they think, you'll find they pretty much paid off the magician to make me disappear. Oh, only kidding, guys, only kidding. It was I saw you in half trip, yeah. So. Good morning, everyone, the colleagues and students, distinguished guests, our business partners, exhibitors, and most importantly, our fellow bridge builders. It's my great privilege as your PSOMA president to welcome you to this year's annual conference, a gathering where we celebrate who we are, where we come from, and certainly, most importantly, what we are building together. When I attended OCOM, Oregon College of Oriental Medicine, I flew into Portland from Florida every single month for a weekend track. And each time I flew in, I was struck by the incredible bridges that span Portland's rivers. Each one is unique in design. Some of them are built out of concrete. Some of them are supported by trusses or cables. But you know what? Each one is unique. And yet with all the same purpose, to unite what was once divided or to connect two sides that would otherwise remain apart. I often thought, boy, what a better symbol for our profession than this. We as acupuncture physicians are the bridge that carries our patients safely from potential side effects and unwanted adverse reaction consequences of biomedical treatments often to a place of balance. We're the bridge that really guides our patient from fear, not knowing that there's another way to heal, to hope as they begin their journey toward wellness. So we really are the true concrete, the cable, the strong steel trusses that link this ancient wisdom of Eastern medicine with the modern knowledge of biomedicine. We hold the yin of traditional Chinese medicine in one hand and the yang of modern science in the other, steady, resilient, and unwavering in our commitment to whole person healing. Bridges aren't really passive structures. You know, it must be designed, it must be built, and most importantly, it has to be maintained. One of the things that we do is every single day, each one of us in our clinics, in our classroom, in our research, and certainly in our advocacy, doing so, we create something neither could achieve alone, truly yin-yang integrative care. To keep our bridge strong, we must never stop expanding our expertise. We've got to step forward. We got to step beyond what's comfortable and immerse ourselves in the world of modern biomedicine so that we can collaborate as equals, not outsiders. We must never stop learning. I remember when I was working toward my doctorate, one of the requirements was I had to participate in a biomedical clinic. I needed 60 hours of biomedical integration. That required me, and actually that requirement led me to the Volunteers in Medicine in Stuart, Florida. It was a small nonprofit clinic that welcomed the underserved. When I walked through the door, I was expecting hostility, but actually what I got is the administrator greeted me with open arms. She said they've always hoped for an acupuncturist on staff to help manage their patients' pain. What began as 4 hours a week volunteer quickly became a full schedule with a waiting list in just 2 months. I ended up taking every room that they had in the clinic for treatments, and it was an incredible opportunity to educate the physicians, nurse practitioners, and staff about Eastern medicine and show them firsthand what we could do. Of course, I instantly thought in my head, if I took all their rooms, the physicians were complaining, where are we going to practice? And I was like, in the parking lot. So it was a wonderful experience. 15 years later, I still get referrals from that same clinic. That's the power of stepping forward, of becoming the bridge that others can walk across. Our profession's bridge must also rest on solid research. And we all know the impact our medicine has for sure. Our patients know it too. But to be recognized, to be reimbursed, and fully integrated in today's healthcare system, we must prove it in ways that modern medicine understands the trust. So before we dive in, I'd like to see a quick show of hands if you guys would potentially help me out with that. How many of you have ever written a case study to publishable standards like STRICTA? Raise your hand. Look around the room and see how many hands are up. How many of you routinely read research articles even if you only make it through the abstract? Raise your hand. Excellent. Now look around the room, right? Keep your hands up, everyone that said that. Look around the room. That's amazing. You know, each raised hand pretty much represents not just curiosity, but a seed of inquiry. And that's the very spirit of research. Now, for you that didn't raise your hand, let me challenge you an idea that you may hold about yourself. Many of you might think, you know, I'm not involved in research, but you are, I guarantee it, every single day. When you listen to your patients, when you observe their progress, when you note those subtle changes and you adapt your treatments, you're really participating in a form of research. It may not be a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, but it's research all the same. This is what we call anecdotal evidence. You know, the oldest form of clinical inquiry is this. It's evidence rooted in personal experience, in stories, you know, oftentimes in direct observation. And yes, well, it may not meet the modern standards that we have today for statistical rigor. It's certainly the foundation upon what traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years has been built on and stands. So think about it, millions of case studies shared, refined, and tested over centuries that have shaped the medicine we practice. today. Our classics are in many ways vast collections of carefully documented clinical research. They are living records of practitioners that are observing, questioning, testing, reporting generation after generation. But here's the challenge for us today. If anecdotal evidence brought us this far, can you imagine how far we can go if we combine our timeless wisdom with the rigorous tools of modern research? Imagine case studies from your clinic, published and shared. Imagine contributing to a wide body of knowledge that bridges ancient insights with modern evidence. You don't have to run $1 million lab. You can start with simple, well-written case report, one pilot study or one collaboration. If you look back at our history, look back at like back pain and knee pain. These are two conditions right now that are routinely covered by insurance because of what? Because of comparative research showing that acupuncture is superior in its outcome and lower cost, comparatively to biomedical intervention. We're beyond the days of randomized controlled trials that seek to prove that acupuncture works better than a placebo. We now compare the efficacy of what we do as a profession and the cost impact of our medicine directly against biomedical treatment and intervention for the same condition. So today I challenge you to actually see yourself as a researcher, to carry forward the spirit of inquiry that's always defined Chinese medicine, and to ask better questions. Write down what you observe, share what you find, test what you know. Because this is actually what moves the needle. When we support research through funding, through participation and sharing of our clinical outcomes, we build the evidence base that shows insurance companies, policymakers, patients, what we already know, that acupuncture really works safely, effectively, and economically. Together, we can keep our medicine alive, relevant, and ever growing, not just for ourselves, but also for the generation of practitioners and patients. When I look around this room, for sure, and I see our students and recent graduates joining us this weekend, I see the future of our profession standing tall. How many students, if you would stand, are in the room? How many? Let's give them a hand. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining the profession. Take good care of it. So when I look around the room, you are the next generation of bridge builders. There's no doubt about it. The ones who will design new spans we can only dream of today, but you can't do it alone. It's up to us as a collective to establish practitioners to mentor you, offer you internships, residencies, and guidance so that you can thrive. We must advocate for your integration into clinics, into hospitals, and either healthcare systems that are hungry for natural medicine and acupuncture. And we have to open doors so that you can step through. Students lay their very first beams, rivets, and cables. Yes, no single bridge ever stands alone. It takes a vast network of beams, trusses, cables, and concrete with the weight of traffic day in and day out. So too must we as a profession stand united. PASOMA is our bridge's foundation. It's our collective voice. It's our strongest support beam that holds us steady through change. It's what keeps our scope protected. Our reimbursements fair, our legislative initiatives in Tallahassee and beyond moving forward. But PASOMA only thrives when you stand behind it. With your membership, your time, your voice, and yes, with your contributions that make our legislative efforts possible. If you believe in the bridge building process that we are enduring and help strengthen it, mentor a student, serve on a committee, tell your colleagues to join, advocate, show up, give what you can. Together, we inherit something very precious, an ancient medicine that stood the test of time over centuries and culture. We also inherit a responsibility as well to adapt, to protect, and to grow it so it serves today's world needs. Some of us are the rigid concrete piers standing firm to protect our traditions and our scope. Some of us are the rigid suspension cables, flexible, adaptive, building relationships with things like biomedical colleagues, administrators, policymakers. Others are the very, very strong trusses, connecting beams of research, clinical practice, and education into one cohesive structure. Individually, we're pretty limited, but together we form the bridge that spans from isolation to integration, from the margins to the heart of healthcare. So before I close, I want to leave you with the same words that inspired me when I first stepped onto this path. Those were words by Walter D. Wintle that have guided many bridge builders, I'm sure, over storms and obstacles. If you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you want to win, but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out in this world, we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. My friends, we can and we will. So as we open this year's conference together, let's remember who we are: strong, resilient bridge builders, connecting the wisdom of the East with the tools of the West, carrying our patients from fear to hope, from dis-ease to balance, and from suffering to relief. Together, we are the bridge. May we never stop learning. Together, we'll strengthen it. May we never stop connecting. And together, we will build the future for ourselves, our students, our patients, and our profession. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this extraordinary Pasoma family. And thank you for believing, as I do, that the best is yet to come. Let's build it together. When I took this position, it was interesting because I was like, the members don't even know what I do. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of insight to testing 1, 2. Just a little quick insight into the initiatives, kind of like the presidency, the first 100 days. What did you get done, right? So the very first thing I looked at was trying to balance the budget, make the organization profitable, and it was already, and grow revenue while controlling the cost, have efficient meetings. When I was on the board, I just wanted to kind of curtail the meetings to just about 1 hour and utilize Robert's Rules of Order and keep the sessions very structured. Enhanced technology, I want to give a big shout out to Lynn McPherson for all the AV stuff that he helps us with. And also look at potentially in the future upgrading our accessibility so we can expand our reach to more and more people. Pasoma's policy handbook, we have a lot of policies, wanted to get them all in one place, and so we've been working on that this past year. Mary Riggins isn't here today, but she has been diligently helping out as the governance chair, helping the policies and bylaws here. Committee manuals, to create a heading manual for each of the executive office members, committee members, chairs, and also members to ensure that clarity of the roles and responsibilities was delineated. Organizational resources to clean up and organize templates, files, and folders. We use Google Drive, and I am not an IT kind of guy, so that was quite the learning curve for me, but we've done a very good job, I think, of trying to organize that and solidify our scope of practice. David Bibby here is on the legislative committee, and we have a lot of energy and drive toward that again this year. And then also organizational clarity, develop an organizational board with Pasoma's different responsibilities and statistics for accountability to you, the members. We had town hall meetings to host and biannual Zoom town hall meetings to engage with members and gather input, just like you noticed today of our surveys. If you would please participate in that. That's how we know what our members' direction wants to go, and we serve our members. So it's very important that way. We have actually a town hall meeting not scheduled yet, but keep your eyes open for the website coming up near the in at least couple of months on bylaws, changing our bylaws since 2020. So if you want to be involved in that, we've got some things coming down the pipeline that you as members need to be actively involved in. And then quarterly meetings to allow for live and online attendance at our quarterly board meetings. Again, to have visibility and transparency and actually to increase participation. The FAA, I don't know if Dr. Shin Tong, are you in the audience today? He's the president of the FAA, the Florida Acupuncture Association, and that was one of the things I had wanted to do right away is network with our with the other organization in Florida and make sure that we had one unified voice that we brought to the legislature. And then health conferences and promote job placement. Certainly advocate for conferences for other allied health professions to enhance communication, recognition, collaboration, and understanding across different disciplines. And then promote job placement for PASOMA members and student members. Insurance accessibility. Galena has been working very hard on that and continues to advocate for increased accessibility to insurance coverage for acupuncture, Chinese medicine, to kind of level the playing field, so to speak. Change. So these are the ones, those are the ones that we've worked on. These are the ones coming up. Here, some of these offer live attendance and online registration at PASOMA conferences to maximize our participation. And then clinical symposium. Host a mid-year. It takes folks, some of this stuff takes people, it takes a lot of input, and these initiatives might seem like high in the skies, but we really are looking for people to help us. If you want to build that bridge, then jump on board. I'd love to have a lot of our students present their capstones here on a mid-year clinic, case studies, research, and practice management to allow current doctoral students highlight their research. And a mentorship program, a one-year residency or internship for new graduates to match and assist them in coming into an active acupuncture practice site who are PASOMA members serving as their mentors. We have grassroots organization that's forming a house of delegates for various regions in Florida. We've tried that before in grassroots and like to attempt that again. And then a mastermind group, making sure that there's all PASOMA members have ability to get involved in a program, a master's program or a mastermind program that fosters professional development and strategic planning in our profession, and then rebranding and re-identifying ourselves as the acupuncture physician. On the acupuncture moves forward, we are tasked with a lot of name changes going on in many associations, including one coming up, and I won't do that spoiler, but a lot of associations are changing their name to be more in line with the wording. And then certainly doctoral advocacy and making sure that we have standardized degrees, titles for our profession, and establish an entry-level program, doctoral program. So those are the initiatives. So news, Florida updates. We have, you know what's kind of funny, the title of this for fingerprinting and background checking was, "Are you cleared to care?" I'm like, are you kidding me? We're all cleared to care. But there's a new legal requirement. If you haven't seen this, it's been on multiple emails just to make you aware of it. A new legal requirement for all healthcare practitioners that you're going to have to get fingerprinted and background checked by the FDLE, the Federal Department of Law Enforcement. And that has to happen if you want to renew your license in February of next year. So you need to jump on board with this. It applies to every single acupuncturist. Beginning July 1st, 2025, all healthcare practitioners must comply with a background screening and apply for initial, when applying for initial licensure as a student or when renewing their license. That license renewal is February 2026 coming up. PASOMA, the website on PASOMA can hook you in and link you to Florida's Health Source to start that process. If you're applying for an initial license, the screening is part of your application. If you're renewing, the renewal period opens 90 days in advance. So you have to get the screening done now, but you have to, when you apply in 90 days, say that you had it done. And then all screened professionals are required to retain their fingerprints every 5 years. So for those acupuncturists who also have other professional careers, whether you're a chiropractor, physical therapist, nurse, physician, you only need to get fingerprinted one time and background checked once. You do need to sign a confidentiality statement and link to this CHI, and I'm not going to go into great depths about that and for everyone, from the previous license to now your acupuncture license. So you just have to link your licenses together and just do the background check one time. You got multiple steps though, folks, that are required to do this process. You got to register, then you got to schedule. And we know that as an association. So to support you, Ellen's worked out that we actually have as one of our exhibitors, a fingerprint and background service right here that's available for you this weekend. So stop by that booth and get additional information. Protection of our scope. It's a huge thing. You know, PASOMA works hard on behalf of the members to catch any kind of scope incursions by other healthcare entities. And we had an incident this past year of Florida Board of Massage not allowing acupuncturists to act as facility managers, which is truly delineated in the law. And we kind of set that one, thanks to David Bibby, set that one in action to make sure that we as acupuncturists can still maintain massage establishment license in our practice. We had just recently, I think a couple of months ago, we had an incident that came in that was a little bit unusual. A nurse requesting from the Board of Nursing to allow battlefield auricular therapy that she had wanted to do. And one of the other things that's coming up, highlighting, although definitely we have many relationships with other different types of disciplines, there's a Florida Naturopathic Association is seeking to reactivate their naturopathic board, and that should be coming up as well. They're in the same kind of suit that we are, is trying to gain legislative action. The Board of Acupuncture highlights. I attended last Board of Acupuncture, and Chapter 457 update. There's results of the legislative session that'll be covered by the legislative committee chair, and there's a mandated review, interesting, a mandated review of all the current rules related to acupuncture over the next 5 years by the Regulatory Board of Acupuncture. That means they're mandated, they're going to have to go through all the rules. And we'd definitely like to be in scope at that time before some of these rules might be axed that we're actually standing on. They also have, if you don't know that, the Board of Acupuncture has 7 members, 5 acupuncturists and 2 community consumer members that have no relationship to the acupuncture profession. Currently, how many of you know how many board members are on the current Board of Acupuncture? 3 out of 7. So that is 3 acupuncturists actually included in that. So members are appointed by the governor. They're subject to confirmation by the Senate for 4-year terms. And if they take over the remainder of an unexpired term of a vacancy. So acupuncturists can serve longer than their term until they've been replaced, reappointed, or reassigned, or they resign. And so they're seeking acupuncturists that would be willing to serve. If you've applied in the past and were interested in serving on the Board of Acupuncture, I definitely applaud that. But know that those applications are only valid for 1 year. So if you've been waiting and waiting to get on the Board of Acupuncture and you're like, I actually gave them my application, that has to be renewed every single year again. And I would do that again if you're interested in that. Fraud alert, you know, to protect your license, we've seen a huge surge in fraudulent emails. How many of you have ever received a fraudulent email? Holy cow. We get them here too. Phone calls targeting Florida healthcare practitioners by impersonating the Department of Health or the Division of Medical Quality Assurance. So these definitely are scams to leverage information about your licensure and enforcement. Really needs to happen. They're going to steal your personal or financial information, so be aware of that. If you've accidentally entered your credentials into any prompt or a website that seems suspicious, or if you've been contacted by a suspicious call or email, change your password immediately, gather the following information about the incident and report by calling the MQA consumer. We're going to have this. I haven't even given this to Ellen, but this will be up on the website as well. So check it. There's a reporting number for the MQA customer service or emailing that. A description of the scam, how you were contracted, screenshots of the phone call with the timestamp and number and any kind of photos of documents or emails that you've received, including the sender's email or fax number. You know, select PASOMA members this past year, it's been kind of crazy as well, have been also targeted for scams. You receive emails from one of my committee members and said, this committee member is in need of your help. Would you please send money to get them out of jail or something? I was like, you got to be kidding me. These attempted scams definitely are directed at soliciting money from the members of the board here. And so the best way to check, folks, is always watch the email address that it's coming from. And that usually will shed light if it's a scam or if it's for real. CEUs, another crazy thing from the Board of Acupuncture. They discussed not a crazy thing, a crazy good thing. Board of Acupuncture discussed approving any NCCAOM course annually as a Florida approved course for Florida CEU credit. So what's happening is one of the ideas would be that the Florida Board of Acupuncture acknowledged that an NCCAOM provider becomes an automatic provider for Florida. So NCCAOM must approve both the provider and the courses. The concern on the board was that if they just approve the provider without rigorous evaluation of the course that is seen with NCCAOM, that's exactly what they do. The course might not meet the board standards. So currently, believe it or not, of those 3 acupuncturists that sit on the board, 2 of the members of the board are tasked with the oversight of all CEU in Florida requests and providers, seeking submission and approval for their course. Due to the great volume of these requests, concern was expressed about the rigorous evaluation. So that might be coming down the pipe. Legislative updates, the board discussed HB, House Bill 1299. This is in reference to mobile licensing. Previous rule required 3 out of 4 years for an active practice somewhere else for licensure in Florida. This has been shortened to 2 years. And you must now in Florida, if you're coming in, have a diplomat of Oriental Medicine, NCCAOM certification. And then Florida Statute 456, which used to be a Senate bill, requires that now a payment of a lot of you individuals that bill insurance requires that any payment back to the provider paid by an insurance company will be reimbursed back to the patient for an overpayment within 30 days. You got 30 days to get that money back to them. Distribution of excess biennial fees. They are working hard for us too, the Board of Acupuncture. One of the board members brought to the attention of the board that we're in a renewal year for our profession. So that means we've got monies coming in the coffer and prepaid for licensure, relicensure, and it's significantly higher than non-renewal years. So this creates a surplus of money for the Board of Acupuncture on paper. Now that's interesting because the member suggested that any excess in amounts of money above and beyond what the board normally received should be distributed back to the licensees. Should I get a hurrah for that one or what? Right? Wow. Now, of course, there's reality and there's non-reality, right? But certainly, what a bold statement, distributed back to licensees and not reallocated to some other governmental fund or agency. You guys are paying the fees, you should benefit from that. That commonly just, that's the case. The next General Assembly, if you're looking Florida Board of Acupuncture, it's September 19th, if you want to get your phones out and schedule that. September 19th, 2025 at 9 o'clock in the morning. And you can get more information at floridaacupuncture.gov.org. Okay. Oops. I'm gonna put my head on again because we're going to talk about AIT. Don't throw things at me, okay? And I'm not going to talk a lot about it. NCCAOM has developed an AIT program, an acupoint injection therapy certificate of qualification for credentialing with the commission. Tuesday, Wasserman and Rosie Lee from NCCAOM will be discussing that later in this morning here when we get back from break. And the ASA is introducing an advanced dry needling trigger point class. So the ASA has had a task for the last few years developing a CEU program that introduces advanced dry needling techniques, focus on real world clinical applications, and the presentation includes recording of a clinical assessment, an exploration of refined palpation skills, and precise needling techniques essential for effective treatment, designed for acupuncture practitioners looking to expand their expertise into trigger point acupuncture. Of course, this course highlights its role in managing musculoskeletal conditions, orthopedics, and so forth. So those are the updates from from Florida, and I think I finished everything I need to. So what you're going to hear from next slide. What you're going to hear from next is our committee chairs, and they're going to give you updates on everything that's going on in their world. And I will start off, if we can, with Mr. Dickey. The photographer is always in black and always hiding, like blends into the background. Like ninjas, yes.
I'm the chairman of the membership committee. Have been for about 4 years, making progress toward getting every acupuncturist in the state licensed and a member of PASOMA. I noticed that I'm singing or I'm talking to the choir here. Most of you are members of the association. I really want to thank you because you're the ones that are supporting the progress we're making toward making acupuncture completely bulletproof here in the state of Florida and growing it to the area that it needs to go. We have been working hard to get more people into the association. We started with students, and we have got all schools in Florida as members of FSOMA now, and as such, all students are now members of FSOMA. And that is a major accomplishment. Our goal now is to work closely with the students to get them more and more incorporated so that they all understand the importance of PASOMA and take it into their practice. Slide, please. There are currently 2,689 active licensed acupuncturists in Florida. That's 13% of the total of acupuncture in the state. That is not enough. It has been very steady at that for a long time. It's very difficult to get the majority of acupuncturists interested. And in order to try to get that to happen, we have created the 1+1 program. Going to ask you to help. We have designed a contest. We're going to give you an opportunity to do that. We have 186 student members right now. That's pretty amazing. Past, we've had a lot less. All students are now eligible for membership. All they have to do is register with it. When they register, they get a list of all of the many different opportunities that FSOA opens to them, and they start getting regular newsletters and information on what's happening, what they can do about it. We have 11 allied health members, 16 business members. Many of them are here at the show. Please support them. They are supporting you. They're the reason we're able to have this conference. They're the people who make things available for you, make your life the way it is, where you can have advisors. Your referrals are very important. We're not getting enough new members now, and it strengthens the profession. It's very important that we have enough acupuncturists involved with the association so that we have a voice. It builds the total number so that we have a lot more political class. We'll be able to go into Tallahassee and say, we have this many members supporting us. We want to thank you for your commitment to PASOMA, and this is a very tightly committed group here. I saw that almost everyone here is involved. Our new campaign is important. Next slide, please. We have a campaign where if you refer a new PASOMA member, your name will be added to the drawing. And these are the 4 prizes that we have right now: conference registration, a year's membership, PASOMA. We've got a wonderful eStem 3 Golden Needle, and 4 cases of Sarah needles from LASA. And all you have to do is convince someone to do what they should do and sign up for FOSOMA. So it's that easy. To make it easy, we've got some really good aids. Next slide, please. First of all, you've got to sign in as a member. So you go to our website, you sign in as a member, and you just go to the next slide. You go to the members only section, and then you scroll down. Next slide. When you scroll down, you're going to find all of the various things that you get as a FOSOMA member. And I'll bet most of you don't know half of these. If you go in here and look, you'll find all kinds of really important things that can make your life better. And each one of these has got a subcategory. If you tap on that, it'll open up and give you full information about all of the benefits you get, all of the discounts, all of the opportunities that we offer. If you see in the middle, there's a click here to download your member benefit ebook. That is a wonderful tool that has been developed for you. It's got a good set of photographs and all of the benefits listed, so that when you're talking to one of your friends that hasn't had the good sense to become a member, you'll be able to have a really nice graphic way to show them all of the benefits they get, because FOSOMA pays for itself. If you're a member of FOSOMA, you can get way more in benefits than you paid out in fees. We really hope that you can take advantage of this. I'm going to send you an email. You'll be getting information with all of the details of the program and how easy it is. Very easy to find out who your neighbors are by looking them up on the website. And then you can find out if they're members or not by seeing if they're listed. Then you'll know who to target. So please go after them. The more people you bring in, the more opportunities you get to win one of these wonderful prizes. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the show. I'll be snapping you pictures.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cynthia Ann Hayes-Hurst. I'm the advocacy chair. I am terribly passionate about my profession. I have been a healthcare provider since 1989, and it took me to 2014 to find acupuncture. And I wish I had known about it long before. I became the advocacy chair 2 years ago, and since I've started with them, we've made some changes to try to improve our outreach to the community and to our provider. And we have a whole bunch of new things coming along that actually are also coming along nationally. So I have joined the national group as well for advocacy with Jen. Can you go to the next slide? I don't know. There we go. So every year we're striving to improve things. We're trying to improve our outreach with other healthcare providers, our public and legislators. Advocacy is an interesting thing because it is a combination between education and legislation. And legislation is actually what got me into it. They were making changes with the Department of Health and all the names of 200 different healthcare providers in Florida. And unfortunately, we didn't get the thing that we were trying to get with our to be added as providers using our acupuncture physician title. But because of that, it got me excited about, okay, what are they doing? Why are they changing things? So sometimes having things not go the way that you wanted them to go is a wonderful thing. At the end of this, we want to be able to share and expand our communication with everyone about whole person-centered medicine. So even people that we see in our clinics, a lot of times they're thinking that the only thing that we're doing is needle work. If you use needles only in your clinic, then that's what they know. And they hear a lot about needles, but they don't hear about the whole scope of practice. They don't know about nutrition. They don't know about cupping and gua sha. Everybody's different in what they do in their practice. And everybody wants our needles. So they've heard about our needles. They know they've got needles. I want to advertise that we have a lot more than needles. And we're committed to improving the health and well-being of Floridians every day. We all do that in our practices. Oh, there it is. I can put my. Oh, it's on my map. So this is one of the events that we did last year, the Ocala Health Fair, at the World Equestrian Center. Reached out to different schools. We are doing interactive things with the schools so that they can come to exhibits and expos. And this was Dragon Rises that came with me, and that is in the back of the room. And she brought 2 other friends from her school. And then my school is Adam. We have another student from Adam who also is volunteering for our conference today. This is our AccuEd Day. So we do this every year. This is in Tallahassee. Anybody can participate that is a FASOMA member. We would love to have you. We do a combination between legislative outreach and acupuncture action demonstration treatments and interaction with whoever's at the Capitol. Is not just the legislators. And we are also starting a few more outreach events. So part of the things that you would gain from working with advocacy would be building some leadership skills. A lot of people leave their school and then open a private practice, and they don't have an interaction with other providers. And they feel kind of abandoned out there because this is so different. You have this whole team of everybody who loves you and you train with them and it's wonderful. And then you're out there in your office by yourself. So this would help support some of that. Joining FASOMA gives you a supportive team around you at all times. A speakers bureau. So we're actually developing a speakers training program so that people can feel comfortable and confident going out and speaking in public about what it is that they do. And we will help you to be able to do that. So if you have a passion for your medicine, but you're not really sure how to share it with people, this might be something that might be interesting to you. The educational exhibits, a lot of the schools already do interactive exhibits within their schooling. And we want to also help participate and support that. We have wellness events, which some of them are rather large, like the Ocala one is thousands of people. But some of them are smaller. So if you have an event that you would like to have help with, or you would like to have somebody participate with, please let us know. And then the next thing is, the biggest thing that I did was we added a iHeartRadio and the Greater South Florida Chamber. They have podcasts and interviews and in-person events. And that allows us access to 2 million people. So if anybody would like to speak, I love to have everybody have different people talk about different things and different perspectives of how they work with people. Everybody resonates a different way with people, and just hearing it from one voice is not good. It needs to be from multiple voices. So if you have a passion and are spontaneous, because unfortunately the radio station is very spontaneous, there's 10-minute interviews. They're very quick, they're very easy. And you could get with me at any time to let me know. I would love to have all of you be part of our advocacy team. Thank you.
Testing. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to be with you again. And I'm here to give you an update on the legislative committee's activities for 25-26. And I will first recognize Brianna Jacobs, who's on the committee but not able to be with us this morning, and Kevin Songer, both who have been really instrumental in helping with the communications between the organization, FSOMA, the legislative committee, and the membership, and ultimately with legislators around the state. And it's the project I can't do alone, so I'm grateful for their support. Let's just jump into what we've been up to. A lot of discussion, and you'll see lots of QR codes asking for additional contributions to the PAC for updates and changes to Chapter 457. And a couple of things that I wanted to share with you, that progress is steady. This is year 3 of what was expected to be a 3-year lift on the Practice Act. And I'm going to cover in a second, just in case you haven't seen some of the particulars on what we're looking to do. You'll have an opportunity to see that yourself this morning. But
progress comes in steps, and what we're fortunate with last year, we had a tremendous sponsor, and in the House, Representative Jose Alvarez from the Kissimmee area, he'll be joining us shortly. And, he was a sponsor for HB 803, and he took it through, sponsoring the bill and then through 3 consecutive committees where ultimately it was passed unanimously on the House floor. It's the first time in 25 years acupuncturists have brought a bill that far. So the challenge going forward is that there are 2, an upper and lower chamber legislature in Tallahassee. And so the House did their part, but we have to come back and do work with the Senate. And the Senate is a smaller body. We're working closely with policy chairs and people in the Senate to make sure that we get traction with our bill on the Senate side. And this, the process starts all over again every year. But we've made a lot of progress last year, and we don't have to, speaking of bridges, build that bridge twice in the House. A lot of work's been done. Representative Alvarez is going to sponsor the bill again this year for it. We're not making any changes. And I think the most important, most significant thing I would say is that by the end of the legislative process, we had an understanding with the FMA, the family practitioners, and everybody from the Western side, the allopathic side of medicine in Florida, that we were in agreement. We were in agreement with the changes to 457, which means at that point, they're waving in support of our bill, which removes resistance and challenges to the bill. And it makes our path forward much more straightforward. And so last year, unfortunately, the lot going on the Senate side, the calendar was not in our favor. And ultimately, you saw they went into late session because they needed to pass the budget. So it was hard to get bandwidth on an issue like ours when they're trying to fund everything into Florida. But our starting point this year, in year 3, is really well advanced from where it was, say, 2 years ago. And so let's just take you through some of the particulars on that. First, we have some nomenclature changes where it's time to remove the word Oriental from the statute. This is consistent with federal law, and we're using term Eastern. But there's a lot of terminology under federal and state law starting in 2014 that made a move toward renaming, using alternative language for some of these terms. And so that's going to happen here in Florida. Actually, let me back up. One of the things that you'll see here is that under the definition for Eastern medicine includes acupoint injection. And currently we don't have a reference for acupoint injection in statute. It's only exists under rule 4, I think 412. And so one of the things that we need to do, and President Stewart had referenced it earlier, is that we do have some terminology and some concepts that exist in rule that were approved by the Board of Acupuncture going back to 2002 that are not consistent under Chapter 457. And so we need to make that language congruent so that anything that exists in rule is supported by the statute. And it's a little bit of a balance of power in the state. You have to remember that the legislature governs statutes and the administrative branch, governor, and the boards and the Department of Health govern the rules. So every once in a while, they need to strike a new balance and make sure that things are equal on both sides of the permissions and the authority that's provided by both. Here under prescriptive rights, currently, if you're familiar with the way prescriptive rights reads in Florida, it gives us prescriptive rights to needles and devices only. And, in order for us to perform AIT, we need to have access for recommendation, ordering, administration of herbs, homeopathic, and other nutritional supplements in sterile form. That's the same language that came from the AIT rule. We just moved it into prescriptive rights. And this eliminates some of the challenges that we've had as a profession working with pharmacies that are fulfilling our orders. And they're saying that they don't see it clearly in our prescriptive rights, and we're pointing them to the rule. And obviously, they're bound by following scope of practice. So that's why this change is being made. Also, strangely, under the Chapter 457, there is no definition for the practice of acupuncture, which is unusual because if you look at nursing, chiropractic medicine, elsewhere, there is the definition for certain terminology, and then there's a definition for the practice of it. And I think one of the reasons why we've had historical challenges with defining and defending the scope of practice for acupuncture is that it doesn't exist in statute. And so we're saying that's acupuncture. We know it when we see it, But, for, professions that are looking at us or legislators or, even the public, it's not always clear. So here, the practice of acupuncture is going to be defined to mean to provide services that apply traditional Chinese medical concepts, anatomy and physiology, modern Eastern medical techniques using acupuncture and medicine, the exercise and prescription rights provided under Section 9, which below this in the statute, to identify, evaluate, and manage abnormal conditions. So the things that are in blue there are being highlighted for you for a reason, because we didn't really go willy-nilly on how we were going to approach changes to the statute. We wanted everything to tie into things, concepts that are important to you as practitioners. Here, we wanted to expand acupuncture to include anatomy and physiology for reasons that are obvious to us. One, it's required training as part of our licensing requirement. And two, we have an integrated model where we depend on these concepts as well as we do traditional Chinese medical concepts. So it's outlined here. So it's not strictly Eastern. It's going to be a hybrid understanding of what the practice of acupuncture is. The prescriptive rights, again, needs to be included in our practice. And then evaluate, manage is terminology that we've been long looking for insurance reimbursement for our non-needling procedure. So you're billing E&M codes and not getting paid for it. And Blue Cross is saying, well, you don't have evaluation and management included in your scope of practice, so you're not going to get paid for it. And so the challenge is for us is, we want to be, well, we are comprehensive providers, and we need to be reimbursed as such. And we want to eliminate some of the rationale from third-party payers, say that it doesn't fall under our scope of practice. So they'll pay, $32.50 to $42.50 for a needle insertion, but not $75 for, level 2 evaluation management. And so this is important, next concept for us. We included a definition for direct supervision, and this is an opportunity for acupuncturists to supervise in their office. And again, this ties into both from practical standpoint, but also from a billing and management standpoint, that if you have a licensed provider that's performing services that are within our scope of practice, is that as an extender, you can bill for their time. Right now, when we practice, you can only bill for what's done by your own hand because we don't have supervision privileges in our statute, but we will going forward. Okay. And so the road forward here, 2025, I was telling at the beginning, they supported the FMA and the osteopaths, the family practitioners supported our language. And so currently we face no industry objections to the changes I just described for you. There are a couple of other minor things, but less related to our practice that we're doing. But without opposition, here, the discussion, what I told you, we already have a strong, good, not as for a stronger order and sponsor in the House. You're going to meet in a minute, Representative Jose Alvarez. And we have, champions in the Senate that are really at the able and ready to help us move this here. And so the last bit to get us over the line, we're going to continue doing some fundraising. The Political Action Committee for the State Association needs about $15,000 more than it has right now. And we need that by, say, the end of September. So I think anybody sitting here that might have an extra $50 or $75, QR code floating around here with your name on it, click on that just for 2 months. It doesn't have to be a monthly campaign. We really need to push the coffers so that we're able to, show up and build partnerships with legislators that are in key roles, committee chairs, people that have leadership influence, to make sure that, what's important to us becomes important to the legislature. There's a lot of competing discussions out there. Everybody's got an issue that they want to move. We've been working very hard to make sure that it's no secret that the acupuncturists want to do a lift on their statute. Everybody knows, office by office. And I think Corinne and Representative Alvarez will attest to that in just a second. But it's our job is to finish it off. We got to get this done now. And we still have a lot of momentum from last year. Yeah, I mean, to have a full House vote and have, a unanimous passage of our bill sends a loud message to the Senate as well. And it increases our leverage in bargaining going forward. And our timeline is now. The session starts early. We don't have to wait till next year to start meeting and making our case in Tallahassee. I say, how can you help? This is the same thing. We're going to be doing fundraising, as well as when the time comes for you guys to be sending emails and reaching out for asking support from your district legislator. Okay, every district counts, every one of those people have a vote, and we want all of them to be in agreement with us. Okay, so again, we planned for success and we were rewarded, but it's time to repeat the effort, visit, educate, and support with the county. Okay, the association has had tremendous exhibit partners. Our members have raised tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars over the last 3 years, and all that is going. Saying that here we've got about another 15 to 20K to eat in, so make every effort. You know, we've got the 50-50, we've got the silent auction table, all of those dollars and all of those values that we're trying to build, whether it's you want to take advantage of that or just simply tell me where to donate, do it. Now is the time. Okay, but we try to get as much value for you along the way. Everybody's really pitched in to make that happen. Okay, you know how you can help. There's a QR code for the Epsoma pack. Again, you'll see that on some posters around. Well, if not, take out your phone and do a snapshot now. I'll hold up for you. Take your time. Okay. I mean, so with that, do me a favor. I want to stop for a second, and you've heard me mention his name a couple of times, but I really need a strong and vigorous welcome for Representative Jose Alvarez Kissimmee. This is our sponsor. Thank you. Good morning. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Good to see you guys. Now, yeah. Please, guys, please. This is the guy. And I'll tell you, at the end of the session in our third committee meeting, I was sitting back as we had a unanimous vote in our final committee for the full House Health Human Services Committee. And one of the colleagues for our representative here stood up and said, "This is the hardest working junior representative in Tallahassee." There was not an office that he did not bang on that door. He took every meeting, responded to every call. This is a full-time passion project for the representative, and we cannot be more grateful.
You guys hear me this morning? All right. It is wonderful to be back with y'all. I'm Corinne Mixon, your audience of many years now. I'm with Rutledge Senior. We haven't met before. Auditing for 15 years now, and I've spent a significant number of those thinking about you all. And I'm really excited about the direction that the association is taking. You know, you have a very competitive Practice Act nationally. And so it's been nice to play a little more defense over the years, but over time, questions have developed. And what we want is, not only do we want you to have a thriving practice, but we want whatever it may be, to be comfortable in your practice. We want you to feel like you're within the confines of what the state allows, but you can also thrive. And the vague nature of the statute causes that to be a problem. So I am excited to be working on proactive legislation with you all. Unfortunately, with that comes challenges. We've roughly 2,000 to 3,000 bills filed every year, somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 of those pass. And so it's an effort to pass bills. However, we've made a ton of progress in a short time working on this legislation because of people like Rep. Alvarez. The one, before I introduce Rep. Alvarez, the one kind of area that I want to look for is you're the only organization out there who is fighting for acupuncturists in the state. There's an existential threat happening in healthcare right now. The state is aging and growing at the pace of healthcare delivery. That's across the board. It's everything from our hospitals to where you guys are on keeping people out of hospitals. There is an existential crisis happening. We have an old guard of very qualified physicians in the state who take issue, understandably, with the growth of other type of practitioner groups. And that's causing a major battle. So there is a real, there's a real threat to the practice of acupuncturists and others in the state to get closed in on and to not have the abilities that you do have. That's part of why you want to go of what you're capable in within your education and training. But you are the one group, I promise you, who is thinking about this at the beginning. If not for Soma, you would have zillion statutes when other professions would have come and chipped away at everything you got. So this is a critical time to come in and put your stamp down on how you practice, what your education and training is, clarify all the misinformation out there about how you're educated and trained, and really put your flag in the sand to say, that's here to stay, you're not taking it away from us. We can do our part, but it's been a long time since we've had two legislative champions the way that this organization does right now. Legislative champions are critical because we're the only group with the legislators who are thinking about it. Not because they don't like you, not because they don't believe in the medicine. It's because everyone's busy and you've got people from all over the map bringing different ideas. Well, a state representative, do you have any idea how many bills they get to file each year? They're capped at a number. Anybody have an idea? It's 6. So they only get 6 ideas that they can even make into law. You've got real estate, you've got save the manatees, you've got beach restoration, you've got fluoride in water, you got education, books, you've got it all. And a legislator has to say, I want to do healthcare. I want to do acupuncture healthcare. I want to make sure the statute's updated to make people's lives better every day. And that's a 25-year real estate broker, solidly active in that profession, understands the value of the profession, and comes at his ideas that way, which is great. He later moved from South Florida up to Kissimmee, where he spent 8 years as a city commissioner and then mayor of Kissimmee. And the only reason he got out of local politics is because President Biden plucked him up to DC to manage the regional portion of HUD. After that, we were lucky enough when the administration changed over to get Rev Alvarez to move back to the state of Florida, run for the Florida House, your champion. So with that, I would like to welcome.
Morning.
Morning.
How you guys doing? Yeah, it was a long drive, about 5.5 hours to get up here to make sure that I was able to come in front of you. This was an interesting year. Those of you that didn't follow what happened this year, we spent 105 days in Tallahassee. Never been seen. We kicked off the year as we went to committees with 3 special sessions. Nothing to do about us here, the whole issue. But yeah, the legislature took it upon themselves to do that. And because of that, it took a lot of time away from us. It really it put everything in a crunch. Because when we're in committees, we get to a point, that's when we start getting bills. And we were still in session. Got snowed in, and for 1 week, we couldn't go to Tallahassee. So that was another week that we could take advantage. And so when we finally came back and we started finally listening to bills, we were listening to 10, 20 bills per committee. And so we were in there 5, 6 hours. This bill was interesting, House Bill 803. Boy, that I have nightmares with this bill. But it was a no-brainer, right? So when they came to see me, and like Marie said, we only have 7 bills that they give us. So you really have to choose what are you gonna do and how you're gonna run it. The Senate is different, yeah, they have as many bills, they can put in as many bills as they want. So it's like throw it out, see which one sticks. Us in the House, we're the ones that have to carry that bucket of water, and fight for our bills, because we don't have that. This one caught my attention. There was a lot of, lobbyists and groups that came to my office to talk different issues, and you feel, right? Because there's a lot of issues. This one was a little bit more important because it was personal, right? So I told them very clearly, because of acupuncture, I didn't have to have it, I said. My parents for a long time football player, and so we get to injure ourselves a little bit too much. Especially back in the eighties, playing football, it was different than now, and, padding different, so my back, it was really a mess. And my surgeon, my specialist said, Jose, we can't do anything now, we gotta get you surgery. And I said, so what's the percentage of healing? Right, and he said, it's a 50-50 chance. And, I'm not a type of guy that I like bets, and I don't like that 50-50 chance. And I said, so what else can I do? And so he himself said to me, have you ever done acupuncture? And I said, no. And he said, give it a shot before you have to go under the knife, because I really had to go under the knife. I was getting shots in my back for pain twice a month. So it was a constant pain that I couldn't stand in one place, and I couldn't walk for too long. It was really painful. And I couldn't do certain things that I love to do. And so I went to an acupuncture, and after like the third time, it was a, complete change. And it worked. I still, when I do have time, I still get to go and do a session of acupuncture when I get time. So when they brought it to me, it was, it was something that caught my attention. And when they left the office, my LA said, sir, there's another group that's coming in. I go, put this bill down. We're gonna write this bill. We started working, great, and everyone with the language that we were gonna use. You know, we were under the radar. There was quite a few people that did not want this to go through. Unfortunately, my own party did not want me to get this bill through. And I got into a lot of trouble, because I said, I don't care what you want, this is gonna happen. And so we went and fought, and there was a lot of different medical bills that really, there wasn't an appetite in this side for them. Anything that physicians unfortunately thought that they were taking away something of theirs, they will fight and fight and fight, and it came to that, right? So it was almost to the end when I just finally was able to compromise and say, guys, here's the language we have. There's still some other things you want changed. Let us go through the first committee before we go to the second. We'll fix the rest of the language. And so they agreed. I think they voted no from the floor. They had said no in the first committee, but the committee members, I harassed them so much. It got to the point where they were seeing me in the hallway in the Capitol and go, yes, 803, yes, we're gonna hear it, yes. And so, it passed. And then everyone got back at the table when we started working. I had one more committee I had to go through. Thank God that the leadership in the House only gave 2 committees on this bill. I went and sat with the speaker when I was first running, and I said, this is a very important bill to me. This is personal. So they gave me only 2 committees to hit, but it wasn't easy. Then we finally got the language where everyone agreed. I call this bill Day One. I put a nickname to all my bills. It helps me remember, right? This bill was cleanup on aisle 4. I mean, you can't make it any simpler than that, because there was really nothing, even in the original, there was nothing that was gonna disturb what physicians do or nurses do, any partition, right? You know, you have to play nice. Thanks to them, we got into an agreement. We went to the second committee. Flying Colors, but the Physician Association, got up in support, that was a huge thing for us. So we did everything in the house. Got it through the house. Yeah.
Guys, we're coming up on the hard stuff for our break center. I wanted to say, one, we have, one person, a legislative change each year, this doesn't. You know, elections come in cycles and, you know, all the good work that. He has a tough primary. So we want to make sure that in addition to, you know, we have the yard for issues to the back, we want to make sure that we have additional funds that are there, to make sure that's for be able to successfully challenge anybody that wants to take a seat. We need to make sure he's reelected. That's fine. Keep him there for you.
You are right.
Okay, and so our QR code contribution is going to set aside for that for other values.
So that will happen for today.
Legal events fund?
Yeah, or to where we are right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See what I said, you're always, I didn't want you to have to carry that around. so-
Yeah, no, I have it, yep.
All right, let's stand to the side, we can do it. We're just gonna do it with it like this. Thank you. And again, I just want to recognize.
My staff. My staff will kill me about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Where you going? Oh, we on? Oh, no, so it's going back on.
Okay, we're going to take a hard break. You have something to add? Okay, we're gonna take a hard break, let you guys visit the exhibitors back in a half hour. We're gonna finish up real quick with our committees, and we've got some great stuff coming up at the remainder of this session, so we'll see you in a half hour.